Hello and welcome to another episode of TherapHeal Speaks. I am Jahanvi, and today on World Down Syndrome Day, we're diving into an important conversation about inclusion, awareness, and empowerment. So, Down Syndrome Day isn't just another date, it's a global movement to celebrate individuals with Down syndrome, to recognize their unique abilities, to advocate for a more inclusive society, and this year, to gain deeper insight of the topic, we have Dr. Pragya with us.
Janvi, this is a wonderful initiative because people really need to know. Down syndrome with time passing and, late conceiving of children, it is becoming more and more common. So we need to really understand for the benefit of the people suffering from it as well as from the caregiver's point of view that how it is affecting their lives and what we can do from our end to give them a better environment.
I'll start with the first question. So I think a lot, like most of us are familiar with the concept of neurodiversity. So as a psychiatrist, how would you define neurodiversity, and where does Down syndrome fit in this concept?
So, neurodiversity is a term that is very rampantly being used as of now. There are people with various different heights.
Mm.
Do you say that they're abnormal? No. We just consider as a part of a normal variation, right? So, very similarly, our genome has normal variations. And all the things that are coming under these normal variations are basically are included in neurodiversity. Okay, so various variations like ADHD, autism, dyslexia, they are not considered as abnormalities. They are just considered as a normal variation of the genome. And all these are included in neurodiversity. Regarding Down syndrome, it also included in neurodiversity, but yes, there are a few nuances to it. There are definitely some strengths as well as some deficits in individuals suffering from this disorder. But definitely, we should not limit ourselves to just pointing out the deficits because definitely there are strengths. So this is how Downs is basically can be understood. Ki there is a extra chromosome, chromosome number 21. Instead of having two copies, we have got three copies. And that is the one that is causing all the changes in the neurological development as well as in the physical appearance. So that is how I can explain neurodiversity.
Another question that I had was, what are some misconceptions that we have about individuals with Down syndrome?
You know, many people uh, at the offset itself, when they see a person with a typical appearance, tend to label individuals that this person is suffering from so and so disorder. So, first thing that comes with Downs is these kids have a tendency to appear happy. So, people have taken it for granted that they're always happy. But that's not the case. We cannot be undermining their emotional needs, or we cannot be just negating all their feelings. It's not always happy. Obviously, they experience the entire spectrum of emotions. First thing is that. Second thing is that uh, it is understood that people will with Downs will not be having absolute physical fitness, or they have a limited life expectancy because of obviously the other components of medical illnesses. But that's not the case as of now. With good healthcare, the life expectancy is good, is decent, nothing to worry. Another thing about the life that they would be leading, it is thought that they would not be achieving their academic goals and that they have compromised IQs, which is again not right because there is a lot of variation. Research says that a lot of variation. Now, due to compromised IQ, another misconception is that they will not be able to live independently, which is again a misconception because there are so many people who have done very well with Down syndrome. So, these are few misconceptions that we very commonly see in the society.
Do you think that that these misconceptions in some way uh, change the treatment of the society towards them, and it makes them like the society is less inclusive and less acceptable towards them.
That's true. That's true. Because the attitude that people have towards them definitely carves out the opportunities that are made available to them. Okay, so when we think that a person is not capable enough of doing something, they will be offered less opportunities and they will not be able to achieve their full potential. So, definitely, the portrayal by media houses, the social media, the news that is being framed, or the movies that are being made, they definitely have a huge impact on the public attitude towards various illnesses. And it's not limited to DUMS. So we all need to be more responsible in what we are portraying. Another thing that, apart from portraying, first thing, it has to be the right portrayal. That would create a good awareness and that would result in more inclusive society, be it at the school level, be it at the workplace, or be it in the community in general. So, yes, definitely, we all need to be more open and accepting and aware about the condition so that we are able to include these people into our normal way of life.
That brings us to the next question. So, how do you think that the schools and the work spaces basically help them to make the space more inclusive? And do you think, like, in addition to this, the language they use also change our perception?
Definitely, it does. Now, first, I would like to elaborate on how the language that we use, it affects the attitude. When I call a person, if a individual is suffering from, say, a fever, or what do I call that person? Do I call that person a febrile person? No, I call that person with fever, so and so with fever. Similarly, when we are talking about an individual with Down syndrome, it should always be more person centered. It should be a person going through Down syndrome or a person affected with. So it has to be person centered. You have to identify them as an individual first and not the illness or the diagnosis. First thing. Apart from that, it's very important that we stop using a very negative language when we are talking about them. In the past also, various movies have put things like, who used words like crazy, moron, which definitely label. And once they label, there is a altered perception to the people around. So we need to avoid using this kind of language. We should use more, I would say, neutral terms like affected rather than saying suffering. That person might not really be suffering, So that is the role the language plays. This language can be said by any individual, any media house, you can just generalize the entire thing to all of us. Now, coming to being more inclusive, it is important that we also take certain things from our end to include these individuals. Like when we know that there are certain strengths and there are certain deficits in the individual, we need to work upon their strengths. Okay. Now we can definitely enable them to use technology, the tools to enhance their communication skills. The training that they are given, it should be more focused, more vocational or academic or social, whatever the need be according to the person's requirements. Research says that the kids who are the schools that are more inclusive, it benefits the development of the individual suffering with the disability as well as the normal kids, or not so neurodivergent kids, I would put it like that. So it is beneficial for both of them. So the schools could be definitely more inclusive. Along with that, the workplaces, if they do a proper vocational training, give direct skills that are required for a particular task, and focus on the strengths of the individual, they would also be more inclusive to them.
So I think like we just talked about how we can make the space inclusive in schools and workspaces. What is something that the community that we live in day-to-day life, some small steps as individuals, we can just take to make the space more like socially acceptable and like how can we integrate them in the society in whatever small acts that we can.
So I would say that first of all, to act, you should know. Very simple. You
Mm,
have to be aware. So be aware, create awareness. If you find people around you are not aware about the situation, just get into a normal conversation and make them aware about the situation and about the whatever the condition is, Down syndrome in this case. Apart from that, it is important that at our level, when we encounter an individual affected by Down syndrome, the way we talk, each person matters. The way we talk, the way we communicate, the way we are able to offer them whatever adequate opportunities we can from
mm,
our end, we should do it. As a community, we should have more programs that are, that would help them in integrating with the society. Apart, also certain, if at all people are good at writing, then they can write news articles, blogs. There's a more material available that they can go through and also create by themselves if they really want to take a step towards this.
I think so. It's about being aware and advocating about the community in whatever way possible in whichever medium that we have.
Basically, all the things that we have discussed earlier, that should be done at a personal level, be it the language, be it the things that are shown on the television or on the movie section or the social media. If you think that they are not right, they are not the right portrayal, you can always report them. We do report, right, all the abusive things that we see on these platforms. So at an individual level, when we start, each of us starts taking that step, I think it will be a better place.
I like as a psychologist, like as a psychiatrist, have you seen some success stories of individuals with Down syndrome thriving in the society?
See, as a psychiatrist, I have seen people with Down syndrome doing decently, earning for themselves, and maintaining a life. Okay. I wouldn't, I right now cannot boast of a person, XYZ who has excelled in the field. I don't know them personally, but definitely there are people. For example, what literature says is there has been a world class gymnast who has been affected by Down syndrome. Her name is, let me remember, I think it's Chelsea Werner.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's a world class gymnast. Another one is Chris Burke. He's an actor and has been an advocate for Down syndrome and has been, uh, really creating a lot of awareness about that. Also, there has been some female actress as well who has been affected by Down syndrome. I might not be remembering her name though. Apart from that, there is a person called Tim Harris who has opened his own restaurant and is an entrepreneur. He is also affected by Down syndrome. So, there are definitely some success stories we all can look up to and feel inspired that yes, people are doing well. People are doing really well. And that makes us also think that maybe we should give them the opportunities that they are denied.
So one other question that I had was from a perspective of a caregiver or a parent of a person with Down syndrome. So what are some of the biggest mental health challenges that a parent faces when they have a child with Down syndrome? And what are some signs to identify it?
Uh, the definitely the diagnosis of Down syndrome, once a person has some family member with it, definitely it comes with a lot of stress and stress and burnout. Okay, so when there is a lot of stress, obviously the sign would be decreased sleep, decreased appetite. There can be avoidance of social gatherings, social withdrawal, basically, where you don't want to meet people because you're so overwhelmed with the responsibilities of caregiving.
Mm.
Apart from that, that comes with a lot of financial burden because of the frequent medical illnesses and the medical treatments that are required. Apart from that, even the decisions need to be taken on the behalf of the individual. Those decisions can be about education, about the planning of life, and and the medical reasons as well. So that also causes a lot of feeling of being, overwhelmed, tired. So these are the things that are more concerning. They are very prone to developing burnouts, depression, and anxiety. The caregivers often experience that, they're not able to connect well with the people outside. They are not able to delegate their responsibility of caring, giving to anybody because they're so anxious and so have a lot of guilt feelings about it. So these are the very frequent concerns that caregivers have, and ways to identify them is, alteration in their sleeping, eating patterns, excessive worrying about the individual, not being able to focus on what they are doing at hand, and intrusive, repetitive thoughts about what the individual would be doing and how they are, if other person is taking good care of them or not, resigning from all the social connections that they have, and secluding themselves and limiting themselves to caregiving and whatever bare minimum that needs to be done. Not taking care of their own physical health as well is one of the main indicators that we can watch out for.
So, like starting with the last question. So, how do you think that they can balance their needs as a parent of someone with Down syndrome of their child and their child's need at the in the same place?
When we are talking of a diagnosis like Down syndrome, this is a part of neurodivergence, right? So it is going to be there. There is no, uh, since it's not an illness, obviously there will not be any cure for it. So we understand that this is a long term thing that is going to persist. So
Mm.
that means this is something like a marathon and not a sprint. So while taking care of the individual, we need to take care of ourselves also, because we can pour only from a full glass. An empty glass, you cannot pour out anything. So it is very important that the caregivers, be it the parents, the siblings, the guardians, whoever, they take care of their own physical and mental health. How? I would say, first thing, please maintain a good physical health. Exercise, move, good sun exposure. Apart from that, it's important that you take regular breaks so that you feel rejuvenated and the chances of burnout decrease. One very important thing is that we not feeling guilty and being able to delegate certain tasks to people around us. So include all the family members or whatever support that you can garner from your surroundings while taking care of the individuals. It is very important we fix roles and there's an appropriate boundary so that the caregivers don't reach burnout. They need to take regular breaks in which they can do whatever self care they need. It can be something as simple as just going for a walk. It can be something like, going for a movie for that matter, outing with friends, and also for that matter, just going to the salon for that matter. If somebody likes it and finds it relaxing, it is good to do that also. You can meditate, you can practice mindfulness. These are certain things that a person can do at their own personal level. Apart from physical health, it's important to maintain good sleep hygiene. That helps you by leaps and bounds, right? Physical health, sleep, and social connections, because that will give you a place where you can be yourself. You are not the responsible one.
Yeah.
All of us need that venting, that talking to somebody whom we can very non-judgmentally, not being feeling judged, we can just tell whatever we feel like. So do maintain social connections. That is very important. Apart from that, I think the important thing is that you don't have to take the entire responsibility on your shoulders. Taking breaks and accepting the support. Many a times, there are people who are there to offer help. We'll visit, we'll take care for a couple of hours. Why don't you take a break? But the caregiver is not able to take that break or not able to enjoy that break, even if forced to take one, because they're feeling very overwhelmed emotionally. In their thought process, they're still with the uh, person and not really on a break. So it is very important that we take regular breaks and are able to enjoy them, so that in the long run, we are in good physical and mental health and are supportive to the person. I think that is all I would like to emphasize on as of now.
I definitely agree with that. I think that's it from my side now. Thank you for being with us and answering all the questions, and it's been a great time.
Thank you so much, Janvi. It has been a pleasure to be with you. And I hope this helps and reaches the people who really want to, who want to know, understand, and have the need for it.